I had prepared a presentation, and Richard looked at it yesterday and he said, you know what, I'd rather if you just got up on the stage and had a conversation. So I invited Dr. Audrey Chun, who here with me. She is the director of the Martha Stewart Center for Living at Mount Sinai Hospital. This is an almost 2-year-old facility, an outpatient facility at the hospital, of which I'm very proud, and of which Audrey and her in which Audrey and her team of experienced doctors create magic for the outpatients who visit there on a daily basis. So we thought we would talk about it today and let you know, because each and every one of you in this room is getting older with every tick of the clock. And there's something called the silver tsunami, which is fast approaching in 2011, where the 78 million or so baby boomers will start reaching the golden age of 65. This is a pretty hideous number for which we in America are totally unprepared. We do not have the medical care, we do not have the resources, we do not have the caregivers, we don't have a lot of stuff that we're going to need to start taking care of the aging population. So Audrey and I came up with a few questions for each other, and you want to start off, Audrey?
Sure. So one of the things I really appreciate about Martha's involvement is the fact that she has been such an advocate for aging and caregiving especially. So what really motivated you to get involved in this cause?
Well, Richard also asked us to talk about train wrecks. I had a train wreck about, I can't remember how many years ago. I have no perception of time whatsoever, which is a good thing. But I think about 4 years ago, I had to go to a little place. I had to go to Yale, we called it. It was a joke. It was Alderson Federal Prison in someplace in West Virginia. I will never go to West Virginia again, by the way. Even though I have some friends there, and it's pretty nice in some of the mountain areas, but I will never go back to West Virginia. So I went there, and I had 5 uninterrupted months in which to think about a lot of things that I hadn't really had time to think about before. Mom was one of them. Here's Mom making pierogies in my kitchen. Mom was a phenomenal mother of 6, a teacher all her life. She never failed until 11 days before her death at 93. And I started to think about Mom and think about what could I do for her and for her legacy for the rest of our family. Mom really instilled in me a tremendous love of family, a love of history, a love of tradition. So when I got back out of Alderson, I met a young doctor called Dr. Brent Ridge, who took me to Mount Sinai Hospital and showed me a potential for the Center for Living. Young geriatric doctors, wonderful doctors who were really concerned with the aging population, discussed with me the funding that they needed, and I took the bait, and we built the center using the legendary firm of I.M. Pei, the great architect, and his son, C.C. Pei, to create a beautiful, serene surroundings for my mom and everybody else like her. And I also learned while I was away that geriatrics doesn't start at 80. I always thought it was octogenarians and above, but really, it really starts much, much younger. And if we all paid attention at 50 or so, or even younger, with our diet, our exercise, our skin care, our just the way we live, where we live, geography, all subjects that have been brought up here at this wonderful conference, we would be better prepared for getting older.
So I kind of want to echo a little bit of what Martha was talking about, is that we really pride ourselves on being a medical home. And this isn't something unique to the center. There's something called the patient-centered medical home, which many of you have heard about, that's been getting a lot of press, although the concept has been around for quite some time. Most of our primary care medical organizations have backed this idea of the patient-centered medical home, which is really all about the care we would want to get. It's about having care that's accessible, care that is safe and of great quality, care that's culturally sensitive and kind of meets you where you're at and is really whole person care. And that's really what geriatrics is all about. A lot of times, unfortunately, geriatrics gets a bad name to it. And just because of the audience that's here and that kind of broader group, what allowed you to get over that negative connotation of geriatrics and this idea in a very youth-oriented society to kind of advocate for that?
Well, being the daughter of two teachers, both my parents were trained as teachers, and all my grandparents were alive when I was born. I really was taught to respect my elders. And I noticed many of my friends never even spoke about their grandparents, never presented them, never marched them around, brought them to parties. I was constantly bringing everybody, my whole family, to events, encouraging them to always celebrate with us. And it was that kind of love for the elders in our family that really made me realize that the older you get, sometimes the better you get. So that's ingrained in me. It's not anything that is foreign to me. I do know that Americans are only thinking of youth and youth-oriented things. Advertisers in my business are wanting the younger audience all the time. I did a little research, Audrey, and I looked up just results on Google. Okay, I Googled a whole bunch of topics. Regenerative medicine, which we heard about yesterday. 1 million results. Organ transplant, 2.8 million. Anti-aging, get a little better, 21 million. Stem cell, 6.3 million. Geriatric medicine, 1.6 million. Sorry to tell you that. And caregiving, 2.3 million. So the attention is not being focused on very serious and very helpful areas. I just wanted to tell our host that Elvis, 156 million results. Obama, 77 million. The Yankees, 25 million. Oh, plastic surgery was interesting, only because it was kind of funny. 26 million. So again, that's getting up there, way more than geriatric medicine. But the first things you see in plastic surgery are vaginal reconstructions. Interesting. Really? I had never looked before. Oh my gosh, I have to start looking at plastic surgery. And the most that I could find was 181 million for Michael Jackson. Jesus only was 46 million. So
you don't do as well as Jesus even, so. Your mother was clear. Well, this is not a picture of your mother, but your mother.
Oh, this is Judith Jones. So she's a fantastic. Julia Child's first editor, the mother of serious cookbooks. And she had written a book, and she was in her late 80s, and I had her on my show. It's her life story of cooking, and I really enjoy having guests like this on my show. They have a lot to teach and a lot to tell.
Absolutely, and I think that is what brought me into geriatrics, actually. The common theme for the conference has been this idea of stories. And as I was going through my medical training and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I kind of reflected upon what it was that really gave me enjoyment and what gave me meaning and what was my passion, actually. And it kept coming back to these fabulous, amazing older women who are in their 70s, 80s, 90s. They have lived extraordinary lives. They've marched for civil rights. They survived Holocaust. They are grandmothers and great-grandmothers taking care of the generations below them. They are daughters who are taking care of their mothers and mothers taking care of their children and kind of sandwiched in that generation. And to be a part of their health and to be a part of their lives is really a privilege. And I realized that it was those stories, in addition to the medicine, that really compelled me to go into geriatrics and to be able to spend the time and really be a part of that life. And it's really more of a privilege for me than a service to go out there. And so I kind of want to put it back to you. What's the story, because I know your mother has been hugely influential in your life, the story that you would like to present for the world to hear?
Well, I think that the Center for Living really should be a prototype for other centers all over the United States. Other hospitals can build similar centers. They're not terribly expensive to build. The physical plant is easy, but what's hard is finding the care. The doctors, there's only one geriatrician for every 8,500 baby boomers right now. One for 8,500. Four times that for plastic surgeons. I mean, it's really scary. How do we encourage young doctors to go into the practice of geriatrics? We're going to try. We're going to try to help focus a little bit more on this aging population. What about the caregivers? There are 44 million caregivers in the United States. A very large number, many of whom are using their own funds to take care of the elders in their family. Some of them aren't even members of the family. They just take it upon themselves to care for someone who's in great need. The serious problems that exist with caregiving, we're not reimbursed for caregivers. Medicare does not reimburse. We have to persuade the insurance companies that it is terribly important. The new health programs that are being outlined by the Obama, that we have to really focus on these parts of the programs. And it's hard, but with people like Audrey, who was on the plane yesterday, working the entire time on case studies, making a good point of what a caregiver has to do and has to be reimbursed for. A doctor who does a procedure is reimbursed. A doctor who gives advice is not reimbursed. It's very, very difficult. We have a major policy problem with the reimbursement of medical costs. And we spend more than any other industrialized country on medical procedures now, and we have to sort of refocus and figure it all out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you too about the medical home. Would you consider our center a really excellent model of a medical home?
I think it's a great model of a medical home, but we're not perfect and we want to strive for more. So what we're really trying to do right now is to make it a model of a geriatrics patient-centered medical home, and in a very systematic way, so we can take a prototype and have like the handbook for a geriatrics medical home and be able to give that to another place who's trying to take care of older adults in a really excellent sort of way. And what we're doing is we take care of people's medical problems, but it's much more than that. Part of it is prevention. Obviously, we're all about promoting a healthier lifestyle. So a lot of things that Martha's a great example of, making sure that your diet and your exercise, that you are physically active. We have activities in our own center that are really promoting good health and have medical evidence that they're of benefit. So Tai Chi to prevent falls and to improve balance, weight-bearing classes to improve bone strength and to prevent fractures should, God forbid, there be a fall. And a lot of social engagement to try to get our patients educated about their diseases should they have them, because we can prevent to a certain point, but then we, even if you do everything right, sometimes you still develop that.
And many of these services, many of the exercises and things are taught by volunteers at the center or just near the center for yoga studios and things, offering very, very excellent instruction to the 2,700 or so outpatients that the center services now. Unfortunately, there's an 8-week waiting period for an appointment now.
We're very
I get letters from people who have had good experiences there. George Lang just wrote that he had to put off dying because he finally found the Martha Stewart Center for Living. And you know who he is, George Lang, the great restaurateur, Hungarian restaurateur. But things like that just make you so happy when you realize that you are really helping a vast number of people on a daily basis.
Right. And I think that's the whole point. We should all demand. It's not something that should be an option. It should not be just something that, because Martha is involved in it, that you should have this type of care. This type of care, we should be demanding it for all of us, as well as especially for our older adults. The opportunity to tell your story, to have excellent care, to have the opportunity to learn about prevention and to treat what you have at the moment. And then at the very end of life, to recognize that you have special goals and interests and values that are important to you, and being able to prioritize those and communicate with your physician to make that happen. I think that's important as well. And that's what we're trying to accomplish at the center and in other places as well.
So you're seeing images of the bonsai. The bonsai I chose as the really image of the center because, again, it's a beautiful thing. Each bonsai has very unique features, and the older and more gnarled and more mature a bonsai becomes, the more valuable it is. And I had the luck of meeting the bonsai master of Japan several years ago. I was wandering around the countryside in a remote part of Japan, and I came upon this bonsai park, and he was 97 years old. He had cared for the emperor's bonsai in the Tokyo Palace, and he showed me pictures and showed me all kinds of things, and he had even once delivered a bonsai to the White House, to President Reagan. So it's a wonderful symbol, and we do keep bonsai alive at the center, and we use them as decorations, both in photographs. Hands, too, are another thing that we show a lot at the center. Our great photographs in the center are all of people's hands holding things, the hands that really do the work. And all my photographers who have worked with us for years and years donated all their beautiful photographs for the center. So it's those kinds of things people notice. You don't think maybe, oh, are they going to notice? But they notice the comfort, the serenity of the surroundings. They notice all those kinds of things. And of course, why not? They're being paid attention to, which is very, very important when so many older people are facing severe isolation. Much worse than a solitary cell when you're in a small apartment in New York City or in any city, all alone with no one to talk to, nowhere to go for care and help.
Right. And one of the other things that we had talked about before was that this population, you can't generalize or stereotype in any sort of way by age. I have a 93-year-old who's still doing yoga every single day, is still very active in her community, chaining herself to playgrounds to keep themselves from being closed. And I have other 93-year-olds who have the same medical conditions and yet are much more isolated, much more homebound, and require a lot more care. So you can't look at chronologic age and kind of predict what a person is about. So that's why there's much more that we have to delve into instead of just that medical list.
And it is about your genes. It is about your what you've eaten. It is about where you have lived. It is about how you look at life and the people around you. It is about all those things. And I'm working on a caregiver's manual right now, which will probably be an online book for caregivers. I think it's a very, very important. There are a few caregiving kind of manuals, but I'm approaching it the same way I approach my homekeeping handbook. Step by step, how do you take care of what you have to take care of? And I think it will be a very valuable tool. And Audrey, too, is working on, why don't you describe your book that you're working on?
Sure, I'm just working on a book called Geriatric Care by Design, which is talking about structural design, the physical design that's necessary to take care of older adults, and in a sensitive way. You don't want it to look horrible and ugly and like an institution, as well as kind of the flow, the systematic design that you need to have in a medical practice to really take care of older adults in a wonderful way.
Talking about the idiosyncratic nature of getting old, I had my 50th reunion from high school last Saturday. It was an eye-opener, I must tell you. I went, we had several people, of course, have died, but the physical range, the men, on average, looked better than the women, which surprised me. There was a lot of disease, serious disease, and it was really amazing. And we all grew up in the same little town with the same kind of environment. It was a red area, I must say, but it was an eye-opener, and even more so that the more I can do to help people survive and do it gracefully and lovely for their families, the better it'll be. True.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Yes.
No, I wanted to play that so they can hear that.
Where does it go?
Okay, that's it.
I
I had to
that was
research that.
I love that.
Martha, My Dear by the Beatles. Wait. So I want to just ask give you one observation, okay? there's taking care of the elderly, or the book that you're writing, the things you're talking about, I think it's bifurcated. I think the same event throughout the day is the caregiver, but the care receiver. That the same thing, the exact same thing, putting on your socks.
Yeah.
There's a vantage point of that from the caregiver, of how you can help somebody put on their socks. But the exact same thing is how can you put on your socks?
Well, exactly.
And it's the same thing, and it's
but the caregiver has to know how to tell that person.
That's why you have to tell two stories parallel.
Exactly.
It's two stories parallel.
I totally agree.
And it is that rationale
Yep.
of that story through the day, looked at from two different vantage points, the exact same thing, so the caregiver knows what the care receiver goes through and what's wrong with them, and the opposite. And particularly with incontinence, which is the reason where most people are shoveled off when most of them don't have to be.
Right.
If they understood what was happening to their body, but then each understood their different point of view. Martha, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful conversation.